Hi guys, I've been thinking of this concept and thinking about writing something about this topic since before I made this channel. It's called, decided to name this Abrahamic sympathy and a concept of sympathy versus empathy. Now, I don't want to sound arrogant and I'm not telling you guys that you guys didn't think of it or that you guys are dumb. I'm the first one explaining this to you. No, I'm 100% sure that all of you have understood this problem. Maybe I'm just giving it a name. So the idea is sympathy and empathy are not the same things. Let's check out what Google says about this. Google says sympathy is feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's misfortune, and empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Let me tell you, Indic ideas, Hinduism, let's say, Sanatan Dharma, is fundamentally based on empathy, whereas Abrahamic ideas, Christianity, Islam, Marxism, are fundamentally based on sympathy. Now, I'm going to name this video Abrahamic sympathy, and I'm talking about Abrahamic sympathy, but I think at this point it's absolutely unfair to bring Jews into this conversation, because Jews have consciously decided, they have evolved, that we are not going to go around telling people that your religion or your God sucks. We are going to keep it to ourselves. So I'm unfortunately saying this, I'm calling this Abrahamic faith only because every time telling Christian Muslim takes too long a space. So anyway, and that's why I think a lot of Hindus of today, of India, think that Israel can be our cultural strategic partner. But who knows what kind of government comes to Israel. So I think it's too far-fetched to trust that bigger of a distance of partnership. But anyway, notice that no one in any ideology or any political party, no political party or ideology will have every person bad. No party is like that everyone in that party or religion wants to kill someone. So let's talk about the people who actually think they are doing good things for the opposite person in all of these scenarios, Christianity, Marxism and Islam. So who are those people? Let's bring up Macaulay. You can read his famous Macaulay's Minute. You can read the entire thing in J. Sai Deepak's book, India, that is Bharat. And you see the tone of his conversation, you see the tone of his voice. He is talking from a place of sympathy. He's saying, these poor Indians, what will they do with their stupid Hindu learning? What will they do with their Sanskrit learning? Let's give us the great things we have learned. Let's help them out. That's the tone he's essentially doing all this in. He's not saying that fuck these damn pagans, they are stupid, screw their lives. That's not his source idea. That's the same with some Muslims as well, where they think we are in the darkness of paganism and they will show us the light of Islam and they will take us out from Jahiliya. And it's, if you are an Indian and you live around Marxists, that's 100% the case with 70 to 80% Marxists, especially the Marxists of our previous generation, who are our fathers and grandfathers. They almost 100% of the time operate from a place of sympathy. Now, the problem with sympathy is that, remember, sympathy can never ever work with respect. Sympathy and respect cannot go hand in hand. You cannot have respect for a person and at the same time say or feel that, this poor guy, what will happen to his life? Let's help them out in some way. No. Indic thinking is based on empathy, where you understand that the guy has some problem and you help them out or empower them rather. Today Sanjay Dixit was saying in his video about freebies, where he's saying that Narendra Modi believes in empowerment, not freebies. I could disagree with that, especially since Yogi had to announce so many freebies. But even Sanjay Dixit explained that as well, that otherwise Yogi will lose because the Overton window in economics in India is all about freebies. So you can't help it. So anyway, empowering people versus giving away freebie in theory is exactly what the situation is in this concept in this concept of Abrahamic sympathy versus Indic empathy. Now, the second problem with sympathy is that people who want to show sympathy, they want to feel good at heart, and that's why they cannot show sympathy to someone who on the top of things, if you see it only without a magnifying glass, only if you see it only from the mainstream view, and if you don't go too deep into it, the people who don't seem to require sympathy, and if you do end up showing sympathy for that kind of person or for that kind of group, you won't be treated as a hero in your circle. And then what happens? You don't feel comfortable in your life. Leftists will lose sleep if they don't show sympathy for someone. And that is the reason why they can't talk about Hinduism in a good sense, because Hindus are still a majority. And of course, that's the reason why they can't talk about Hinduism. The moment Hindus become minorities, they will listen to all our arguments. The one single reason that they don't listen to complain anything about Hindu sentiments or Hindu rights is just the fact that we are in the majority. It's the same case in USA. If Native Americans had resisted white invasions, if the Native Americans had remained the majority, or if the black Americans had become the majority somehow, you would not have heard one single statement from leftists of America about white supremacy or about Christopher Columbus being a bad person. The only reason you hear them talking about them is because Native Americans are in minority. They care about only minority. They don't care about the fact that Native Americans did not go about let's talk about Indians now. They don't care about the fact that Indians have never gone about creating genocides. Hindus have never gone about force converting people, because that's the historical context, and their history knowledge is starts and ends at class 10's Mahatma Gandhi. And if they study history after in graduation or masters, then they are fully in the arms of Irfan Habib, Romila Thapar and R.S. Sharma. Now, they won't even talk about the Hindus who have become minorities in places like Indonesia and Thailand. In Bali, on top of Mount Bromo, there's a Ganesha statue. Now, they can't talk about those Hindus because they will think that they are somehow empowering the Hindu fascists of India. So, the problem is that we are the majority. It's our fault, essentially. And that's the same issue with Israel. Israel is one goddamn educated, cultural and economically prosperous, safe, beautiful country inside a desert of shitholes. But they won't talk about Israel in a good light just because they have survived. So in essence, you can say that the very fact that they don't have sympathy for you means that it's a badge of honor. We should be proud of the fact that they don't have sympathy for us, because anytime a leftist does not have sympathy for something, it means that that person or that group or that country or that culture is doing great in life. So if Israel tomorrow gets fucked, if Jews get killed again, then they will show sympathy for them. It's the very fact that Israel does good for itself and Israel does not give shit about anyone, and now that India does not give a shit about anyone, is the reason that we don't get any sympathy from leftists, and that causes them to use the same terms and languages that they use for Latin Americans and Native Americans, but they won't use those same markers of justice for Hindus. They will use all terms of historical oppression, historical disadvantages, positions and stuff. Somehow that doesn't work for Hindus. Aryan invasion theory helps them for that as well. But Abhijit Mitra makes a good point here that even if Aryan invasion theory fucking happened, even then there could be a very good case for standing up for Hindus, because Hindus have not gone on creating genocides. Because even if you say Aryan invasion happened, you can't show any proof of genocide. You can at best say that they invaded, a certain war happened, and then they ruled the country. But you can't show any sign of genocide, because genocide and deaths in a battle is not the same thing. Genocide means the war ended and then you went ahead and killed a lot of people in that country for no fucking reason. So there's no absolutely proof of that. There would have been mass graves and stuff, but there's no such thing. So anyway, the only way they will talk about Hindu oppression is when Hindus become a minority. And I'll tell you when that day they think is coming, or they hope comes, or maybe they don't hope for it but might end up happening anyway. Let's say it's the year 2090 or 2120, and Netflix makes a documentary on lost cultures all over the world, and then there's one episode about Hindus, and the episode starts with Hindus, a lost culture, a lost people. Where did these people go? A mystery. and maybe our descendants, whose surnames have become Ahmed and Daniels, their sons and daughters are watching it with while making out and having popcorn in their homes, and they watch this documentary and ask, who are these Hindu people? There's maybe one Hindu small tribe in UP in one village. Then they maybe go to talk to that village, and then maybe they start up a procession and protests to their Islamic or Christian governments to give equal rights to these Hindu minorities. That's when they will talk about these stuff, because that's exactly what's happening with Native Americans. Native Americans can be equated with Hindus on everything except the population number and their percentage of population in the country. And everything that they say about Native Americans, they refuse to say about Indians, because we are the majority. Now, they are somehow under the... Okay, let me tell you about this. Netflix, even up to just 1 or 2 years back, I saw a documentary on Netflix about Egypt. And blatantly, that documentary was probably not commissioned by Netflix. Netflix leased it from, I think, History Channel. The documentary showed everything about Egypt, how pyramids might have been built, wonder how these things happened. It's a mystery. And at the end, the documentary says that those people just disappeared. The people who were worshippers of Anubis and stuff, descendants of pharaohs, they say, we don't know where these people went. Are you fucking kidding me? They were forced converted into other religions and finally to Islam. What do you mean, where did these people go? That's what exact thing I was taught in school. Harappans, a lost people. Where did these people go? We don't know. How do pre-Abrahamic cultures and people keep disappearing? What's this mystery? How do all these people disappear? They are always fucking forced converted. And people won't, no entertainment industry guy or academic will say this. They are all forced converted and they are afraid to say this. And somehow they are under this goddamn impression that let Hindus fuck themselves. When Christians and Muslims become the majority religions, somehow they will live in peace. As if there is some historical basis for that. as if that's going to happen. Right now we have 204 million Muslims and about 28 million Christians. And let's say when Hindus become one small tribe in UP, let's say we have 30% Christians, 30% Muslims, and some other religions maybe form and come up in India, whatever. And and then they think peace is going to happen. That's when the real shit is going to start, bro. So I think it needs to be pointed out that standing up for Hindus and Hindu rights and Hindu survival is not just for Hindus' sake. It's for India's sake. The moment Hindus become the minority, India is going to be a fucking battleground for all Muslims and all Christians. And because Muslims and Christians both are going to get fundings from all Christians all over the world, all the first worlds, and all rich Muslim countries all over the world, that's when the real shit is going to begin. Notice how this same concept works in the conversation between free markets and Marxism and socialism and communism, those things. Karl Marx is operating from the same angle, because now we all have discussed this countless times from many sources that Marxism is just another form of Abrahamism, because Karl Marx grew up in an Abraham setting. His responses, his observation, his entire framework of thinking, everything was Abrahamic. Therefore, he ended up creating just another Abrahamic cult, which believes in one idea, one God, which is Karl Marx. And if you think my idea is wrong, you are screwed, you are fascist, or you have to end up dead. And the percentage of population of Marxists in your locality or in your country is directly proportional to how violent they will be, which is also similar to another religion you might think. Because when Marxists are in 5% or 10% minority, they pretend to be academics and intellectuals. Then when they are 15 to 20%, they begin creating small violences. And when they are 40 to 50%, then the real shit begins and people end up starving to death. 8 million, 9 million, 20 million, all these numbers start happening. It's just the same as any other violent Abrahamic idea you can think of. But remember, it's starting from a place of sympathy. Oh, these poor people. What will happen to them unless I become the Messiah and tell them that you need free food and free stuff and free clothing and free hospital and free schooling and free college? What will happen to you? As opposite to this, think of how free markets work. Free market is giving you the opportunity to succeed. It does not mean a rickshawala is guaranteed to become Elon Musk the next day. But a rickshawala, if he works hard enough, his son definitely won't be a rickshawala. There's this statistic in USA that if you didn't get married or have kids out of wedlock, if you finished high school and you stayed married, and if you did not quit jobs 20 times in your life, which means you were a dependable person, there's absolutely no chance that you don't make significant upward mobility from the economic class you were starting out in. That's the problem that Marxists don't understand. They think either success and richness or prosperity has to happen for every poor person right now, or that somehow other people's money needs to be stolen and shoved down people's throats right now. They don't believe in the concept of gradual progression and improvement in conditions, because one is based on sympathy, one is based on empathy. Empathy is free market. Empathy is good governance. Empathy is good laws. Empathy is Indic thinking. Sympathy is the superiority concept, that you are fucked, you are a poor little child who needs my superior person's help because I'm greater than you and I know what's best for you. Thomas Sowell has this quote that I'm paraphrasing, but economists and academics he's talking about. He's saying that these people are never accountable. That's the main problem. They will never pay the price for being wrong. Think of Mehra Patkar. Let me tell you about this. All of you have been talking about Mehra Patkar in the context of Gujarat because Amir Khan had supported Mehra Patkar. You all maybe don't know that Mehra Patkar did the same shit in Bengal. When in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, when the Tata factory in Shingur in Bengal was getting protested against, 80% farmers were in support of that factory, which then later got shifted to Sanand in Gujarat, and now it's a gigantic vehicle manufacturing hub. Trinamool manufactured a protest. All intellectuals supported it who are further left of the Communist Party of India, and out of the blue Mehra Patkar came as well. She fucked the people of Bengal just as she fucked the people of Gujarat, and all of them are paying no price for being wrong. And this is my suggestion to you all. That's why that if you are talking about Hindu rights and Hindu sentiments, Hindu justice, anyway Hindu survival, you all have to read Dr. Thomas Sowell's works, because he's not an economist who's going to show you models. He writes economics like a child for a golden retriever to understand economics. I'm right now in the middle of reading his 5th book, and after every book I finish, I think, man, I learned so much. Maybe I'll focus on some other book now. Let's not read Thomas Sowell anymore. But then I end up reading it anyway, and then I learn some new thing. Because we have to oppose Marxists tooth and nail, and in every way, not just in culture. And in order to counter them economically, Dr. Thomas Sowell is your best help. If you read Dr. Thomas Sowell, no leftist ever again can win a debate with you. This is my guarantee to you. So in conclusion, always stay away from people who show sympathy for you, no matter if it's a government, if it's a local politician, if it's a friend, if it's your spouse, if it's your girlfriend or boyfriend. Sympathy is going to create very big problems for you. But always be open to empathy and always show empathy. Understand a person's problem and give them a path, give them a ladder to get out of the shithole they are in. Don't pretend to turn their shithole into a goddamn palace.